We had to do it. We had to do the calendars. We had to do the lads mags. We weren't paid for those things. We didn't see anything for it. It was contractual. It was like, you have to do this. I'd be on set and I'd be in a little skirt, and I very vividly remember, the camera always used to start on our feet and pan up through our legs. You were scared. You didn't want to lose. You didn't want to lose the job. You didn't want to lose the money. You didn't want to lose the opportunity. I'd been told that I had to be sexual, and I'd been sexualized from being a young woman, and suddenly I turned 40 and I was doing the same photo shoots on my own terms. The hypocrisy of them then going, you can't do that, you've got to make a choice. I'm not doing anything different to what you've always made me do. Why is this now an issue? You're not worth anything, your opinion's not worth anything, your voice isn't worth anything. That's so far from the truth. I think as women, we hold a lot of tension and a lot of shame almost. Don't show anything, don't cover up. But when you're in a space where you're given permission, something just sparks in women, and you just see this other side of them come out. We are told to be small when actually we need to take up so much more space.
So, Sarah, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And so I've obviously, the way I came across you, obviously I saw all the things going on in the news, and I recently heard you speaking at an event and it blew me away. And I loved what you were doing for other women and encouraging them to just be themselves and to not give a fuck. And I really liked that.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know, can you just give a brief overview of why you're here?
So yeah, I think empowering women is like the mission that I feel like I've sort of almost accidentally ended up on, but it really feels like true and authentic to me, and it resonates with so many women. And you're doing the same thing, and I think that's amazing. And there's power, isn't there, in women supporting each other and working together, and I think that's so good. So so my whole journey started was when I was fired from Hollyoaks, which is what the whole news thing was about, and that was a couple of years ago now, so that time has absolutely flown, and I still stand by it's one of the best things that could have actually happened. So the reason I was fired was because I set up a profile on OnlyFans, and they were not happy about that despite giving consent to that. So it became a whole thing, and I, for the first time probably in my life, in my career, I stood my ground and went with what my gut was telling me, and I kept my OnlyFans profile going, and that therefore meant that my contract was terminated with the show. But honestly, still the best decision I ever made. 2 years on, I'm still loving being in control of my own schedule, my own content, my own dialogue, my own, not having to be filtered. And I mean that in the sense of not having to be filtered like physically, or not having to be filtered in the way that I speak my opinion, and being able to voice how I really feel, rather than thinking, oh, well, I better not say that because, the show wouldn't approve of that, or I can't have that opinion. So it's been so empowering for me. And through that, I've had so many women specifically reach out and go, you've inspired me, good on you. I'm a woman in my 40s, and I think that really resonates with women as well, because I think society tells women that as of 40, you are, null and void.
You're not sexy anymore, you're
done.
You're
not sexy, you're not worth anything, your opinion's not worth anything, your voice isn't worth anything, and that's so far from the truth. So I think the more women that know that and speak out about that, the more, again, there's power in numbers, isn't there? And just going, hang on a minute, that is not true.
I think as well, when you have kids, that's the same as well.
Yeah.
Like, people are made to think, oh, now you've got kids, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be in a bikini, you shouldn't be dressing like that. You hear it all the time. Oh, well, I've just turned this age, or I've just had a baby, so I need to wear dresses below the knee now. And it's like, why? Who made that rule? I want to be J-Lo when she's 53. Well, what is she, 55 now? And she's just wearing little crop tops and stuff.
Not?
I love it. I
and
absolutely
Shania Twain is another one.
Oh my God, yes, I love
Sandra
her.
Bullock is 60. And I'm just blown away by women like that are, carving the way for us women. We're still young, but we're told that over 40 is old, and it is absolutely ridiculous.
And I think the fact that, I grew up around, well, not around them physically, but Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, where it's women are just pitted against each other continuously. So I grew up thinking, well, all these women are my competition, the girls, everyone's competition if they're a female. And I would always say, oh, I prefer hanging out with the guys. But actually, there's so much power, like you were saying, and strength when women come together and celebrate one another. There's so much to go around. You know, and it's not, oh, we can't, you know, I can't have you on here because we're doing the same thing. No, it's power in numbers. Like we've both got the same message. We're both wanting to help other women, and there's power in that. And I think it's a real shift of mindset, isn't it? To go, we're not competition. We can help each other.
Absolutely.
So was it terrifying then when the contract got terminated? Especially, I know being in the TV industry, my husband's a comedian, so I know what that industry's like. You never know where the next paycheck's going to come from, and it can be terrifying, isn't it? So how did you feel when you got the call to say the contract's gone?
Do you know what? I sort of felt relieved, if I'm completely honest. I wasn't very happy there at the time. We were just post-COVID, everything was weird. You know, your husband would have experienced the same with social distancing. You know, suddenly the industry was a very odd place to be. Everyone was being kept separate, and this sort of industry itself is quite tactile because, you know, you're working on set with people, you know, you're in relationships, whether that be like a parent relationship or romantic relationship with these actors that you're working with all the time. So suddenly for that to shift and all the storylines shifted, I was feeling so anxious. I was really unsure of what was happening with my job anyway. I wasn't getting any answers. Things were changing with the show, you know, there was a producer change. And so actually, when I was let go of, I felt more than anything, I felt relief. And by that point, I had been on OF then for a week. So I knew, like, it was a risk going on there in terms of not losing my job. It was a risk in terms of going, do you know what? People might love this, or people might go, yeah, I'm not going to pay to see you in bikini because, you know, if you've seen pictures of you in a bikini all my adult life, really, with the men's mags and all the shoots that I'd done. But it worked, it was successful, and it was a way for me. And again, being in this industry, you are never in control. There's always someone else pushing the buttons and dictating what's going on, to the point of like what you're wearing, how your hair looks, what you're saying, again, all that being filtered. So for me to find something that I was in complete control of just felt like, oh, this is it. And I thought at the time, even if this only lasts 6 months, it's given me a way out and a way to find myself. So yeah, I'd say a relief was the main thing.
And so I hate this question because I hate asking, like, oh, what did your friends and family think? Because we're trying to encourage people to step out and do their own thing and not care what people think. But what did they think when you were going to say, like, oh, I'm going to go on this website, this OnlyFans? Did they have anything to say, or were they quite supportive?
I think that thing with you saying you don't care what people think, like, you do care what your close friends and family think. Obviously, I don't care, not so much anymore, like what Joe Public or someone that I don't know, or, you know, the keyboard warriors think. I'm not interested in that. That's whatever. But with my friends and family, obviously, you know, you want the support, and I 100% got that. And my husband from day one has been so supportive. The thing is, I'm not doing anything different to what I was doing before. This is the whole thing.
But it's
that
the
I keep trying to get
connotation,
across.
because when people say OnlyFans, it's like, she's getting her tits out and everything else. That's what people assume. So it's quite, when people already have that vision, it's hard to try and prove that you're not doing those sort of things. And even if you were, it's your body. As long as you're consenting to it, do what you want.
Exactly. And the platform is great, a great safe space for that, for those kind of creators. That is why there is that content on the platform. You know, it's an over 18s only. It's well protected. It's the best social media platform that I've been on. But I think what people don't understand is that there is a whole wealth of content on there. So from yoga classes to musical instrument classes.
Really?
There's everything on there. You can do whatever you want on there, as long as, you know, it's consensual. And so there's literally everything on that platform. But people just associate it with porn because that is what I think, when it first was launched in 2016, you know, a lot of sex workers went onto the platform because it was a safe space for them to control their own content and monetize their own content. And again, like you're saying, when people are doing that, why not when they've got that safe space? That we should be applauding a safe space for sex workers, I think. But again, like you say, there is that then association with the platform with that. And so people just make the assumption that because you're on OnlyFans, then that is what you must be doing. So it's just a naivety and an ignorance, I think, from people to not understand it or to not want to understand it further and just go, well, you must be doing that.
Yeah, I had no idea until I heard you talk about it. I had no idea that it wasn't just like sexiness.
Yeah.
I think when I heard you speak, you said there was people like chefs and cooking and things.
There's chefs, there's boxers, there's a load of sports people on there, actually. It's really big. There's comedians on there.
They
have their own. They do like comedy shows in London, so they have OFTV. So it's like a live streaming platform, sort of like YouTube. Which you don't have to pay to subscribe to that. So they do, like I did an OFTV program with another creator where we went and did an ice skating lesson. We won the Dancing on Ice coaches. So that's the sort of reality, get to know creators whilst doing a fun activity. So I did that recently. There's all sorts of people. Again, it's just that it's people just being a bit ignorant, isn't it? And going, well, it is that. Full story, not wanting to hear anything else.
And what was your parents like growing up? Were they quite open to letting you be who you wanted to be? Did you have the freedom when you were growing up? And what was that like? And then going into a TV world where it's quite controlled and you had to be a certain way to fit in, to conform, to get those roles. It's such a huge contrast.
Well, I started on Hollyoaks when I was 14,
Wow.
so it was sort of most of my formative years growing up were spent filming and being on the show and playing that character. And my mum was my chaperone up until I passed my driving test when I was 17. So my mum actually was there with me every single day on set. And she's always been super supportive. My parents are very much like, whatever you want to do, as long as you're happy, you know, you're not breaking the law or anything, then great, go for it. And I think my mum just saw it as a really good opportunity for me. You know, at that time, it was back in 1996, it wasn't very easy to get on TV. You know, there weren't reality shows like there are now, and it wasn't as accessible. So the fact that I, one, got an audition for such a big show at the time, and then two, actually got the role, I think my mum was just like, this is an amazing experience. I was quite a shy child, so I think she felt it would bring out like a more confident side in me, which it really did. You know, I wouldn't even answer the phone at home. I was like, you get it, I don't want to speak, I don't know who it is. So yeah, they've always been so supportive. And again, with this, I think my mum and dad were a little concerned, not because of the platform, but just because they didn't understand how I would make money from it. And the fact that then I lost my job, my mum was more like, you know, what are you going to do? You've got a mortgage, you've got bills, you've got a child. And again, by that point, I knew that it was successful, even if it was just for a few months. But as it stands, you know, it's been just so freeing in every sense of the word.
So being in that world since 14, and if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
I'm 42 now.
Fuck, you look amazing.
Oh, thanks.
And you do not look 42. So how, that's like you say, your informative years, did you have any sort of negative comments, trolls coming out, and how do you deal with that? You know, I'm sort of trying to move into this world, and only recently in the last year started putting myself out there, putting content out. I never would put myself in front of the camera, and now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
How did you deal from such a young age, dealing with any kind of negative comments?
Luckily, social media wasn't around, so I don't know whether I would have coped so well now with having an online profile and being a young, impressionable child, really. I was still a child. I had a very supportive family and friends. I was still at high school. I think the only sort of negativity I got was kids that were jealous at high school. And even then, it was sort of, it became a little bit of a status thing. So I would get the odd dig, but I think more than anything, people just wanted to know, like, oh, what's that character like? What's it like? Well, you know, they had so many questions for me. And so it probably brought me out of myself a little bit at school as well, because suddenly people wanted to speak to me that had never wanted to speak to me before. I was a bit of a swat, a bit of a geek at school. And
it sounds so glamorous. Oh, I'm on a TV show working in TV, and it's not
really
actually that glamorous. No, it's very long hours. So And do you get a lot of trolls trolling you now, or has that sort of gone away and you don't really get as much?
I don't get much. I think I'm quite fortunate in that. And again, I think something really pivotal happened when I turned 40. So that was around the time when everything happened at work. But also, I think as a woman, you do turn 40 and go, why do I care so much? Like, genuinely, why do I care about what other people think? And you start to realise that that's not a you thing, that's a them thing. And whatever they're coming at you for, if you're a good person and your intentions are good, then anything negative can only be a projection of what that person is projecting, that they have an insecurity or they're self-conscious about, or something that's going on in their life or has gone on in their life that they haven't yet dealt with. And so I think as of being 40 onwards, I can deal with it much better. I try to call people out sometimes because I think, hang on a minute, I'm not having that. No, like, if you're going to say those things, then say it in front of everyone. Or I just block and delete and move on and just go, fine, I'm not even giving that airtime or space. And I think it depends what mood you're in as well, doesn't it? Sometimes it gets to me more than others. Depends what time of the month it is. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, that's really hurtful, and sometimes I'm like, fuck you. So it really sort of depends. But I think you have to look at that person and not look at it and take it personally, because it is never a personal thing. Yes,
I've just learned that recently, and that is life-changing.
It's massive. It's so freeing.
It's a superpower. When you can get to that point where it's like, oh, it was never about me, then that's when it just, you just take off, I think. Yeah, and put in the self-work so that you know yourself so well that these comments and these things from strangers, let's be honest, none of these people know us. It's an online world, and no matter how real you are on social media, those people still don't know you and your core and your values. So what they're projecting and what they're commenting on is their made-up perception of you as a person, not you. So if you know yourself and you know yourself well, then those things just can't hurt you. That's so true. I've really this year, I hate the word journey, but definitely learnt who I am, what I like, and not what people are telling me I should be and shouldn't do, should do, all that. What advice would you have for anyone that's sort of going through that? Maybe they've had a baby, maybe they're turning 40, and they're very lost, or they're not being themselves, and they want to break out. What advice, like, it happened to you probably by accident. Maybe you may still be on Hollyoaks, possibly, if they hadn't stopped the contract. God, I don't think I would have ever left. Yeah, because it's that fear of, oh, well, when will that opportunity ever come again? Yeah. So what advice would you give to sort of give people a kick up the bum and say, just fucking do it, life's too short, do it? What should they do? What's the first thing that they should start with? I think it is that looking inwards. So it's interesting, actually. I'm doing a coaching course at the moment, and again, this is sort of off the back of everything that's happened with me, and it's a mixture of like psychology, science, and spirituality. Ooh. So it's a real awesome mix, and I'm doing the work myself, and a lot of it is going inwards. There's a lot of eyes closed work and leaning into your own intuition and going, what do I feel? Forget what I'm being told, forget what that person, you know, whether that be your friend, whether it be someone online, whether it be your husband, whether it be your wife, partner, whatever, going, you should think this. What do I actually think? I'm really going inwards. And, you know, there's so many free things online where you can access, whether it's meditations or whether it's, you know, we do a lot of shadow work, which is sort of bringing out the bits of you that you've exiled or that are in your unconscious. And you bring those to light and go, oh, that's why I feel that way, or that's why I think that. And often it can be one comment that someone said to you, you know, even when you were a teenager or when you were a child, that stuck with you. Mm-hmm. Shifting those things, moving them through, and then going, I don't actually think that, or I don't actually feel that. So I think it is just putting that time in yourself, invest in yourself, however that might be, getting out in nature, you know, spending time with the people that really make you feel good, and really tuning into how people make you feel. Oh, I talk about this all the time. All the time. I think people, the the last year do like a life audit. So when I'm around certain friends or whatever, how do they make me feel? Do they make me feel drained and feel shit and with their negative comments? Or am I laughing? Are we talking about life and what we're doing and the courses we're doing or the things we're reading? Or are they gossiping and bitching?
Yeah.
I've really detached from those kind of people or very critical people. That has changed the game for me, because it's now I'm just around people that are curious and are growing and wanting to better themselves. And like you say, I think the problem that most people have, they don't self-reflect, and it's very much black and white thinking. I know I being younger, I was very black and white in my thoughts, and I read one of the first books I ever read, because I used to say, oh, I don't read. Now I'm a reader because I've formed the habit over time. Was Black Box Thinking. It's such an incredible book, and it really opens your mind to say, take the feedback on, because you're going to grow from it. If someone's giving you a bit of information, how can you use it? How can you make it better and grow from it? So I definitely think a life audit of how people make you feel.
100%.
And like we're always taught how you should think. This is how you should think, but we're never, like you've just said about tuning into that intuition, so important. What's that feeling? Because how many times, I don't know about you, but growing up, being with certain ex-boyfriends, the red flags, sirens were going off. You know. And you
that relationship ends and you go, yeah, I knew.
I should have listened.
Like, there's a Billie Eilish lyric, I don't know if you heard it, on one of her songs on a new album, and she's basically like, my stomach was upset all of the time, but then when you left, I was fine. And now it makes sense. And you go, oh God, yeah, I know that feeling. I know when something's off, and it is just that tuning in and going, oh, something doesn't feel right here. Something's not nice. Something's not sitting right. It's listening to yourself, because we have those tools. It's just tuning into it. It sounds really la-di-da and like quite spiritual, but I'm into that sort of stuff anyway. But I do believe that, it's called a gut feeling for a reason. We all have an innate intuition. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm definitely, I used to be like, oh, it's really wanky that, but I'm really trying to tune into that now, because I think I've done so much like personal development stuff and investing in myself in business. But not myself personally, to listen to those voices. I feel like I'm a bit of an onion where I'm peeling all these different layers, and I'm learning so much about myself. And I'm like, wow, even like Shella will laugh at me, but I've like got into sci-fi recently.
Oh, really?
And I've spent my whole life going, I don't like sci-fi. But actually, I'd never watched sci-fi, but I just said that. And it's like, I think of all the things that I've missed out on because I assumed that I wouldn't like them, and foods and drink, so I'll just like try everything now, within reason, obviously.
Be a yes person.
So coming back to OnlyFans and having that creative freedom, and which is so exciting to be able to create content on your own terms and what you want to do. Has that given you financial freedom? I suppose it's the whole, again, with the TV industry, you never know when the next paycheck's going to start, or when it's going to start again, when you'll get a different role. So has that helped doing the OnlyFans with that side of things financially?
Yeah, it has. It's given me, like I say, freedom in sort of every sense of the word, financial freedom, which wasn't the main reason for starting it. Obviously, it was a reason. I thought, if I can monetize the content that I'm putting on Instagram, why am I giving it away for free on Instagram? But it was a really nice, obviously, side product of it, and one that I didn't expect would offer me that freedom. And it's still volatile, like it still could end any day, or I might go, do you know what, I'm sort of done with doing this now, or I want to do something else, or I am conscious of Stanley, so my little boy is nearly 8, and what I don't want is any backlash on him, again, not because of the content I'm doing, but because of other people's perceptions of what I might be doing. So that might be, and I'm still, I'm just going to ride it and see, but that might be a factor for me going, right, okay, I'm done now. What I don't want is to ever affect him, obviously, in a negative way. But then he's had such an amazing lifestyle since I started. We can go on holiday now whenever he's not in school, which before I wasn't able to do that because, you're working around a work schedule, you have to apply for holidays. And we can just do, I can do the school pickup, I can do the school drop-off, I can book my own time out to spend with him and then shoot content. And basically, it's being an entrepreneur, I'm running my own business, and that can be stressful, and it can be like, oh my gosh, what if, this week isn't good, or what if, like, say, all my subscribers suddenly leave. But if that happens, I've had an amazing experience with it, and I'll cross that bridge. And that's only like being in the acting industry anyway.
It's like with any industry, anything could end at any time.
Exactly.
The one thing that you said, and I hope you don't mind me being cheeky, is, so I've got an 8-year-old daughter, so everything that I'm doing now, I'm doing it for her generation. Like, we have to stop the filters, all these different things, and really give her a voice. I want her to use her voice and not try and shush her. But you made a comment there about the people potentially making comments to your son. So the way I would look at it is, if I were to stop doing something that's a job and that I'm enjoying and is giving us a lifestyle, if you were to stop that based on other people's opinions or the things that they're saying to your son, is that not teaching your son then to care what other people think? You know, if you were to stop doing something because of what other people think. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm always trying to think like that. Like, what then,
the
by me doing that, what's that message?
Yeah.
Because then they may be conscious of that and think, oh, well, my mum stopped doing something she really enjoyed, actually, because of that. And I'm like, so sorry, I'm just being a bit cheeky with it.
No, not at all. And I think, like I say, I would never sort of go, I've stopped doing that, because, you know, that wouldn't be the messaging that I would tell him. And it would only if it was detrimental to him in terms of, you know, people can be horrible, can't they? And kids can be horrible. And first and foremost, I would be having a word with those parents, sort of going, well, you know, what's the issue?
Pull the kid aside.
Because kids get these things from parents, you know. So if a child is saying something to Stan, then it's likely come from a parent saying, oh, well, she does this. So my first conversation would be with that parent to change the narrative and to educate them. And also, you know, doing stuff like this is great for me, doing these podcasts, doing my podcast, having that platform to, again, just help people be less ignorant and go, actually, don't talk about something that you don't understand in a negative way. Speak to me about it if you want to know, and I'll tell you, like I'm telling you about it now. This is what it is. Don't make your own assumptions about it.
So one of the things I've seen you do, and I definitely want to try it, I've tried it once for a hen do, and I had muscles that I didn't even know existed within my body, is pole dancing. Yes. So what has that done for you? Do you teach it?
Well, I'm a qualified teacher now, so I did that because I love it so much. So I'm nearly 2 years that I've been doing it now. And again, having the freedom and the time to be able to do these classes, take up a new hobby, I'd done the same as you. I'd been on a couple of hen do's years and years ago and tried pole dancing and actually really enjoyed it. And then one of the things, again, that's given me this freedom and the time, leaving, or being, you know, no choice but leaving Hollyoaks, I suddenly had time to pick up a new hobby, and I found a studio, and I've been doing it just under 2 years now, qualified as a teacher just because I became obsessed with it. But what we were saying about, you know, sometimes walk into a room and if there's other women there, whether it be a gym or an office, or for me, auditions were horrendous because you are being pitted against each other, then walking into a room full of girls that you all look the same. It's a horrible feeling. And I walked into the pole studio and it was the complete opposite. The women, and we've got one guy as well, were so welcoming, so non-judgmental. No one cared what I'd done before. No one was, you know, judgy in any way, shape or form. There's women of all shapes and sizes, all ages, and everyone just is cheering each other on. And I just absolutely I fell in love with it because of that, really. And then I fell in love with the sport, and I've managed to advance in it quite quickly because I've had the time to, you know, put in a few hours a week. I've got a pole at home now. I just love it. I love it. And it takes so much. It's really sort of challenging, but really rewarding. You get a move and then you're like, oh my God, I've been trying to get this for 6 months. And then it's like, right, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And you can always improve and better. And yeah, I just
And what's it done for your confidence? Has it helped in the bedroom side of things? I'm sure most women would want to know that. How has it helped?
Well, just in confidence in general. So I would say the funny thing about pole is that you turn up, so you go to a class, and if a beginner's starting, they'll come in and they'll have shorts on and a long vest and be a bit their body posture's a bit round shouldered and arms around their body and really self-conscious. And in pole, a lot of people go, well, why have you got no clothes on? Well, you need your flesh to grip the pole. That's how it works. If you've got clothes on, you don't grip, you slide, you'll fall off. So a lot of it is to do with that. But what you see is the evolution of pole is that someone will walk in on day one like that, and then by lesson 6, they'll come in, they'll have shoulders back, they'll have like a little bikini top on, they'll have a thong on, and they'll have the big like 7-inch stilettos on. And you just see these women just coming out of themselves and just feeling empowered and strong. And I think it's very like, especially the pole dance, you are really connecting with your body and your femininity, and there's a lot of stuff in the hips, and I think as women are moving because we hold a lot of tension and a lot of shame almost in our womb space. Again, I'm getting sort of like la-di-da.
Body, you got to cover up.
Exactly. We've been told don't show anything, don't cover up. But when you're in a space where you're given permission to connect, I think just something just sparks in women, and you just see this other side of them come out. And then you see that, you know, I've been out for dinner with them and drinks, and you see that then in real life as well. Out of the studio, these women are just like, I feel so damn sexy. You know, the body things that they were, you know, the things that were conscious of their body, maybe they came in and they're conscious of their legs, or they're conscious of their stomach or their arms or whatever it might be, that goes, and they're just like, I love my body and what it can do, and why was I ashamed of this? So that side of it for me is just awesome as well. And it really goes with, like, obviously the sort of message that I'm trying to, and you're trying to get across to women, is that we are told to be small when actually we need to take up so much more space.
I interviewed a girl called Georgia, and she does all like the sexy dancing. And I love, she said, it's basically the same as you. It's a room full of women cheering each other on. We're all cheerleaders. They've built great relationships and connections with people because they're just being themselves. Whereas I think most people are on autopilot and they're not being their true selves. And I think that's just a life sentence for me. That I feel like for so long I've been a version of myself of what I should have been for those types of people. And now some people don't really know how to place me because I'm direct. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm just who I am, and I won't apologise for it anymore. And it is the most liberating thing.
It's so liberating.
Ever. And I'm trying to encourage, like, what do you love about yourself? I ask friends that maybe are having a bit of a downer day or are feeling a bit insecure. I'm like, just every day, just write a few things about what you like about yourself. Then after a few months, what do you love about yourself? You know, and then when, like you say, when you know who you are, no one can take anything away from you. No one can tell you anything because you know who you are. And all that projection doesn't work. So just tell us a bit more about the Hollyoaks and the OnlyFans and how that happened.
So the thing is, with the show, I had been, and I think I look back, I found some of the Lads Mag shoots, and we used to do calendars every year. And I think one of my first sort of bikini sexy shoots that I did with them, I think I was 17. I don't think even I'd turned 18 yet. Or I just turned 18.
Cancelled now.
Do you know what I mean? And
times have changed.
The thing is, like, I loved those shoots. I actually wanted to be a model. When I was 12, that's what I wanted to do. So actually, going onto the show and being able to do the modelling as well and do the photo shoots, I actually loved it. So I got to do the best of both worlds. So it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It was more that we had to do it. So we had to do the calendars. We had to do the Lads Mags. We weren't paid for those things. I think the most I ever got paid for a calendar was £125. And I think that year we all outsold Kylie Minogue. So we didn't see anything for it. It was contractual. It was like, you have to do this. This is part of being in the show. And, you know, those sorts of, I mean, we were known as the sexy soap, weren't we? That's what it was always called. And I'd be on set and I'd be in a little skirt, and I very vividly remember, you know, the camera always used to start on our feet and pan up through our legs, and then you'd be in a scene in underwear for no reason, for absolutely no reason. Like, why am I in my bra for this? Okay, right, okay. But again, it wasn't,
you'd never
I'm not
question
going to.
it.
You didn't, because you were scared of losing your job, because you were always made to feel like, well, we can just replace you. There are so many people that want this role. So you were scared. You didn't want to lose. You didn't want to lose the job. You didn't want to lose the money. You didn't want to lose the opportunity. So the thing that and so many people, I think is why I got so much support when I did stick to OnlyFans and, you know, consequentially lost my job, was the hypocrisy of it all. You know, I'd been told that I had to be sexual, and I'd been sexualized from being a young woman. And suddenly I turned 40 and I was doing the same photo shoots on my own terms. The hypocrisy of them then going, well, you can't do that. You've got to make a choice. I was like, but why can't I do this? I'm not doing anything different to what you've always made me do. I'm not doing anything different to the stuff that I've been posting on Instagram. So why is this now an issue? And the only thing I can think is that it was suddenly they didn't have the control anymore.
No, it's as simple as that.
They didn't have the control of what I was doing or the monetization side of things. Suddenly it was on my terms, and that wasn't okay with them.
So thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And
thank you.
I just think the message, keep going with, like, I think more women, if we can build like a tribe of women that can help other women get out of the funk and feeling lost and not enough. I think it's incredible what you're doing. And yeah, what do you want to be doing in the next few years? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What is it that you want to be doing for yourself and for other women?
Oh, well, same, right back at you, by the way. Do you know what? I don't really have a 5-year plan as such. Like I say, I'm doing the training to be a coach now. What I would really like to do with that is offer sort of confidence coaching, if you like, for women, whether that be one-to-one, whether that be in groups, to really just change the narrative or help women find their authentic self, and in that, stop listening to what we've been conditioned to feel, to think, to say. Stop listening to what society tells us. Stop listening to all the messaging from tabloids, from brands. You know, as women, again, we're told, use this, try this. You know, when you get to this age, you're going to need this. Or stop listening to all of that and listen to yourself and go, what do I want? And I want to help women just to find that, you know, to be there and go, well, sort of be a guide almost. So I think that is where I want to be. I want to continue this messaging. I want to keep breaking down this narrative. But I think what women need to do collectively is have confidence to listen to these sorts of stories and not be scared. Confidence is probably the wrong word, but just have the courage. Have the courage to just listen and to think, like you were saying, to just think outside the box and go, well, hang on, actually. Just challenge those thoughts.
Question everything.
Question everything.
Well, I've been told I like this or should like this. Do I?
Yeah.
Do I want to do that?
Also, it's like with dressing as well, isn't it? You follow fashions, but actually, do I really like that? Or do I, like, I've got so many colourful clothes at the moment because I'm like, I love that, that pink rah-rah skirt. Why should I not wear it? And why should I not wear it just to nip to the shop? Where you told, well, why are you wearing that? Even my
where are you
mum,
off
bless,
to?
yeah,
where are you going?
Why are you so dressed up?
Yeah.
Just because I want to be. Why not? Stop saving things. Just enjoy life.
Yes, and fucking live it.
Yeah.
We're here for a short time, so enjoy it.
Exactly.
Well, that is good night from us. So thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you.
It is bedtime now. Thank you for joining me on Bedtime Theories, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Night night.